Hello there guys, Elita here, and today I am bringing you a new type of thing for my channel. I'm going to be doing a walkthrough for the historical battles on Rome Total War and Medieval 2 Total War. Basically just because I thought it'd be kind of interesting, and I know there are lots of them already out there on YouTube, but I figure, I'll give my views of it. I think it could be helpful to some of my newer viewers. What I mean by newer viewers, perhaps newer players. They haven't, played Rome Total War or Medieval 2 very much, and kind of wondering how to go about doing these historical battles. And they're a lot of fun, and it's a good way to get some skills and basically get some practice. And it's worth doing, especially if you actually study the historical battles and you think, cool, it's quite cool, and I'd like to do them. It's a really great way to do it like that. So. Today I'll be bringing you the Battle of Lake Trasimene for Rome Total War. It's the first historical battle in the list of Rome Total War historical battles, and I'll be bringing you that, and I'll just work my way through them. So without further ado, I'll let you watch the intro, and you can then we can get on to it afterwards, get on to the actual battle. So here we go.
Rome is not the only power rising along the shores of the Mediterranean. Another people, the Carthaginians, have imperial ambitions. Their empire is growing in Spain, even as the Romans secure the Italian peninsula. For Rome, Caius Flaminius has been sent north to deal with the Carthaginian problem. And it is a problem. Hannibal Barca, the greatest Carthaginian general ever, is on the march.
Units, march!
He swore an oath to his dying father that he would never give the Romans a moment's peace. Hannibal has already kept his oath at Trebia. After that victory, he forced the Romans back onto the defensive. Now, with his army at Lake Trasimene, Hannibal plans to lure another Roman army into a brutal ambush. He has every reason to hope the Romans will cooperate in their own deaths. The Romans quickly move to meet the obvious threat from Hannibal's men. Unaware of the danger, Flaminius orders his leading units to attack. Hannibal springs his trap. His waiting troops are ordered to attack the unprepared Romans. The Carthaginian plan is to sweep down on the Roman flank and drive their enemies into the icy waters of Lake Trasimene. Only courage and Roman discipline will save the Roman army. The legionaries must turn and face the oncoming Carthaginians and keep themselves from being surrounded.
Alright there guys, I hope you enjoyed that little intro, and now we're going to get into the actual battle. Now, I've got it paused here because there's some things I want to talk about just before I begin. You might be able to tell that I'm kind of using it as like a media player thing at the bottom. That's because I already record the battle, and then I'm recording over the recording, because by doing that, that allows me to talk to you guys and explain what I'm trying to do rather than focusing so much on playing. It's the problem I sometimes have when I do live commentaries. I'm focusing on playing so much that I kind of don't talk enough. And I think it's important when you're commentating to talk to your audience. So by this way I can give you a good battle and explain the instructions, what I'm doing and stuff. While at the same time there's plenty of commentary going on and there's plenty of battle being seen without there being a lack of one or the other. So anyway, I highly recommend at the start of the Battle of Lake Trasimene that you pause the game. Now the reason this is because unless you're very, very quick on your keyboard, and I'm not very, very quick, I'm not slow, I'm just an average micromanager on my keyboard and stuff like that. But unless you're very, very quick, you can in most cases find yourself getting quickly absolutely swamped by the Carthaginian army while you're trying to form up your army to face them. So I recommend you pause it, form them up, and then do it, because otherwise, unless you're extremely quick on a keyboard, otherwise you just won't make it in time. And even if you've been playing this game for several years, in the case of me, unless you're very fast on a keyboard, I highly recommend you do it this way. But I'll leave that up to you guys. That's just my advice here. But let's get into it, and I'll explain what I do in this fight. So immediately here on the right flank, you can see me putting 2 Triarii forward. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my Astarte there as well, put support with Peter, and then send them into the infantry fight once I've dealt with that. Over here I'm just going to put the Triarii over to block that cav, and then I'll have my other 3 units infantry backing up on this flank, and then I'll have the 2 Velitae taking up the centre, and I can either leave them in the centre or put them off to the flanks depending on where they need to be. It's very important. There's about 3 Carthaginian cav there. If you can destroy them quickly, this fight is very, very easy to actually win. So it's very important you get those Triarii into them, and you pump a few Peter into them, and then you bring the 2 cav, your general and that Roman cav around to try and surround them. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get my Triarii into them, and then I'm going to pump Peeler into them as well with those Astarte, and I'm going to get my cav in and surround them, and try and kill them right away at the beginning. If you can do that, it honestly makes this fight a significantly easier fight. If otherwise, those Carthaginian cav can really, in a lot of ways, cause you to rout very fast. So you've got to be very careful. It's good to get rid of them. Over here, though, because you're fighting on 2 fronts, this is why I recommend pausing it. You've got to quickly move around a lot. So if you only at the start, you usually only have time to form up one side. So that's why I recommend pausing it there. As you can see, he's stuck on my Triarii with his cav, and I've got my cav going to the flank here. Over here I'm just sort of holding him off and supporting what fights I need. As you can see, I've destroyed that Carthaginian cav, and that gives me cavalry supremacy of the field. So I highly recommend that you try and do that, because that makes this a lot easier. Otherwise, that Carthaginian cav's left roaming, you really have no way of stopping it. Because you need all your infantry really for the Puini infantry. So once you get your cav out there, you can go after them. Now, once you get your cav free, I recommend trying to hammer and anvil most of the enemy units that you've got fixed on current units in battle. But getting rid of those skirmishes is not critical, but if they get close, you should get rid of them, because they can make a nuisance to the fight. So as you can see, I'm just doing hammer and anvils here. You want to watch the Puini infantry, because it is better than any of your infantry. However, as soon as you can, the fight on the left, as soon as you've got enough in your control, get units over to the fight on the right, because the fight on the right is usually the more key fight here. I usually just go for like a stalling approach on the fight on the left and bring it to the right. As you can see, there's Puini infantry trying to go around my flank, and because the AI doesn't go out of phalanx formation when it's trying to move its units, it takes a long time to move, so it's not that bad. So you should constantly try and move around the flanks, try and get encirclements, because that'll break the morale quicker. Now you can see the General's bodyguard unit coming in, that's Hannibal. If you can kill him early in the game, that's quite helpful too, because it'll drop the whole morale of that Carthaginian army, and that's very, very helpful. So as you can see, this side of the fight's been won, so quickly get everything over to the right, because usually most of it happens on the right. Sometimes, as you can see here, I'm leaving a couple of units in reserve to check that other Puini infantry, while I swamp the other one. I use my cav to either run a disruption against his skirmishes, or just get more encirclements, hammer and ambles, and that sort of thing. At this stage, because that Carthaginian cav's out of the way, it can't interrupt and wreck this, and you can usually just surround the Carthaginian units, because I do believe the Romans have slightly more infantry, which gives you a bit of advantage there in this particular fight. But you do want to be careful of the Puini infantry if they single out units, because they can quickly defeat you. So it's very key that you surround them, and if you can kill Hannibal, that's very, very helpful as well, because if you can do that, that most certainly makes this a lot easier than it otherwise would be. As a whole, the Battle of Lake Trasimene is probably about in the middle in terms of difficulty compared to the other historical battles. It's not the hardest one, but it's not the easiest one. It's kind of in the middle. But once you know the pattern of it, it's not that difficult. You need to get rid of that cav pretty quick at the start, and you just need to work on getting encirclements. And I highly recommend there at the start, guys. Unless you're very confident in the speed of how quick you are on the keyboard, I highly recommend that you pause at the start there, because otherwise you can find this. Well, you just get kind of swamped very quickly before you can form your men up to face, and once it happens, you just lose. So unless you're very quick on the keyboard, I'd highly recommend that you just you honestly pause like that. I mean, as a whole, I recommend, like, as a whole when playing Total War game, don't pause if you know you can go without it, because I mean, you're not going to be able to do so on multiplayer, but there's a difference, because the AI control all its units simultaneously, it gives the AI a massive advantage in a situation that you get in this particular battle. So if you're facing a human person, they're only able to move a few at a time, so it's more balanced that way. So anyway, there's a clear victory. So if you sort of just follow that same kind of outline I just talked about here and what you saw on screen, you should be able to win the Battle of Lake Trasimene fairly straightforward. As you can see, a few kills to the Triarii, the Roman Cav, kind of all mixed around the board. But anyway, guys, I certainly hope this helps you if you've had trouble with Lake Trasimene. Leave comments. I love reading comments. Always nice to hear back. But overall, I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And I'll be seeing you soon next time for the Battle of Raphia. So see you around, guys, and catch you later.